to Stash It Monday on the Crafty Maven Getaway channel. This is Julie from Spend Less Craft More, and today I decided to interpret Stash It Monday is to actually go and look at some old page kits that I've got and actually finish one of those off. I've got two of these work in progress folders, and as you can see they're quite full, so I think it's time that I went through those and actually finished them off and got them in my albums. This one's got a lot of pages that are, some of them are probably only really need a date, some of them need journaling, some of them need titles. So in this first one they're pretty much finished, and the other one, some of them really are literally just page kits, like these couple here. And the one that I decided to work on is this one here, which is just some photos of my son rock climbing quite a few years ago. So you would have seen at the beginning the inspiration piece that I'm going to be using. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep this background or not. I think that might have been a basic grey, just a guess, and you can see I added in the page kit some of these thinner strips and a few offcuts. I'm not sure if I'll use any of that or not. I liked the kind of blue watercolour circle, so I may use this background or I may redo something myself with some sort of blue circles. And I quite like the idea of a strip of triangles down the side. I also really like that scripty saying about living fearlessly, which I thought would be quite a good tie in with the idea of rock climbing. So that's where I'm at. I'll grab a few supplies and put you on fast forward and we'll see what I come up with. Okay, so I've grabbed my supplies and I'm ready to get started. I haven't fully committed at this stage, but I decided to give that blue circle sort of background thing a bit of a go. I'm not committing to using it just yet, but I figure I may as well give it a try. So I've just got some white cardstock that has been gessoed at some point and my gelatos. So I start with a blue and then black to make it a little bit of a darker blue. And I'll then in a minute add a lighter blue to bring it down a bit, lighter a bit I guess is the right way to say it. Probably if you know much about watercolour, you're not thinking too much of my technique right now. I certainly don't claim to be a watercolouring expert, but I am happy with the end result. So I guess that's what counts, and experimenting and playing it's all part of the fun really, isn't it? So it actually has been a while since I played. Well, not that I've played in the craft room, but I've scrapbooked in the craft room. I think possibly my last Crafty Maven video might have been the last scrapbooking page that I made actually. A lot of you will know I did a 100-page spending freeze this year. Might be 2 months or so ago that I actually finished that, and I've since then I made a couple of kits and haven't really had a chance to play with them yet. Just a lot of other things have been happening. My daughter and I helped run a kids club in the school holidays a couple of weeks ago, and we were in charge of the craft, so that was quite busy. I've got a big kind of working bee coming up that I'm hosting at my house this Saturday, and I've been doing quite a lot of work sewing and different things for that. So after this weekend I'm really hoping to get back into the craft room and back into the scrapbooking, and I'm thinking that actually now that I've got those folders of page kits and half finished pages out, that's really where my focus needs to be for a little while. I'm not too worried about my kits, whether I use those up straight away or not. I think, yeah, getting these pages, and also the pages that I did on my spending freeze, I didn't have enough albums, so they're all waiting to be put away. So I'm thinking some finishing off and some packing away, and then I'll feel a bit like I've got a bit more room to move. And that'll be good. So what I've done now, that box that you've seen me rifle through, that's where I keep all my sort of smaller scraps. I'm a bit of a hoarder, I guess. I do try and use things, but the more I like a piece of paper, the smaller a piece I'm willing to keep, and often I'll go to that box more for making cards than anything else. But I thought that was a great opportunity to just get my triangles made. So at this stage I'm just cutting them out. The placement isn't where I think they're going to be, it's just more about making sure that I've got enough triangles. I'm just doing it on that yellow spotted paper while I'm waiting for the other one to dry, and I'm looking at whether I'm going to use those other offcuts, and I'm thinking probably not. You can see the light's different because it is the next day. And what I've done overnight, other than let that background dry, is I have just cut my title Fearless on my silhouette. And again, for my birthday, I got had my silhouette SD replaced with a cameo, and I think this is only the second or third time it's been used. So I'm really looking forward to getting in and making the most of having the full 12-inch size. It's going to be, I've got plenty of things I really would like to do with that I haven't been able to do in the past. So obviously here I'm just inking the edges of all those little bits and pieces, and I'm going to have a little bit of a fiddle now and work out what order I want those triangles in. Bit of thinking fingers going on there. Just don't want the blue too close to the blue circles. And now I'm ready. Yep, I'm going to pull out my sewing machine, and that is how I will attach those down. So probably most of you know how to sew on paper and cardstock by now. I just have a needle set aside that I always use on cardboard. It doesn't matter if it's blunt or not. I actually have it just stuck into a little bit of paper, so if I haven't used my sewing machine for a while, I can just check if the that special piece of paper is empty. I know it's my cardstock needle in the machine, and if it's in the paper, obviously I know that's where it is. So I'm just going about, I think, three wavy lines on that side, and then on the other side I'll just use one. So that's pretty much the only thing out of the original page. Well, it is the only thing out of the original page kit that I use is that paper strip. And obviously, if you haven't already worked it out, I've got the arrows on that paper strip and the triangles all pointing up, just a reference back to the rock climbing sort of theme. So again, with the whole stash thing, those bits of paper, I decided I needed to mat the photos, and I wanted to do it on white. But I thought maybe cardstock was too thick, and they're actually just a couple of leftover brochures from my Sewing Bee for Days for Girls that I've got coming up this weekend, and I thought they'd be as good a thing as any to use as the matting, and they're just nice and thin and light, don't give the page any bulk. And I decided that I'm just going to rip the sides just to get a nice thin mat of white. I don't know what else do I need to talk to you about. So on my channel it's obviously been very quiet. Did start my series Scrapbook Spending Freeze 101. I haven't made a video for that for a while because of all those things that I've mentioned. It was also school holidays, and we did go away for a couple of times as well. Now what I'm doing right now, if you're wondering, is I've lost my F for Fearless. I actually stopped the camera for a little while and literally went back and looked through the footage to try and work out if I could see. I didn't actually manage to work out based on the footage. You couldn't see it, but it actually turned out to be at my feet. But I was going a little bit crazy there trying to work out what I'd done with my F. So I'm just sticking those down now, and in a minute I will obviously glue, I'm going to glue the title down now. So yes, as I was saying, I think I've done 3 videos for my Scrapbook Spending Free series, and I'm planning 2 more. Hopefully I will get the next one done next week, although my husband and I are going up to Coffs Harbour for a couple of nights next week to see Midnight Oil. Yay! So hopefully, as long as I don't work in the first half of the week, I'll get that video done and get back into the scrap room, which will be very exciting. So I use those 2 jars of buttons just to weight that down, because obviously my cardstock's not entirely flat at the moment with the water on it, and I go through these buttons thinking I might use some of those on the layout, although after all the time I spend trying to find the right colours, I don't eventually use them. A lot of my buttons, I think the reason I don't use buttons is just because they're just old buttons left over. My mum used to have a craft shop, and some of them are faded, and they're not necessarily the real bright kind of modern fashion colours, I guess. So I'm in that catch-22. I feel like I'd probably use buttons more if I had, I guess, more up-to-date ones, but I really can't justify buying anymore. So I'm just going to add the word B with my letter stamps, And that reminds me that the letter stamps and that box you can see in the top right hand corner, they're what I've given myself as challenge items. And what I mean by challenge items is anything that you've got in your stash that you haven't maybe used for a while enough to justify how much you've got or how much they cost. And so I'm really challenging myself to use them as much as I can. So this is, I think, the first time, I mean, as I said, I haven't done a lot of scrapbooking anyway. This is the first time that I've used the letter stamps, and so instead of using the buttons, I end up pulling some sequins and some brads out of that box, and I decide that I want some wood veneer as well. I'm nearly running out of those arrows. I hope I can find some more because I really do like those. And I'm just going to glue those down in a minute. Oh, actually, no, I'm getting out the brads first. So I'll make the holes for the brads and put them in first, and then I will glue the rest of it down. And I think that's pretty much all that I have to talk to you about. Other than that, I'm just going to do a quick bit of journaling, not a lot, and some splatter. So thanks so much for watching, guys. Thanks for supporting the Crafty Maven channel, and I will catch you guys again soon.